Hello and welcome to Game Soup Classic Analysis. This episode is brought to you by McDonald's. My name's Joe.
I'm Ed.
And this episode is a part of the Genesis edition of Classic Analysis. This episode we're going over treasure games. And I was going to say something else cool. Oh yeah, normally Game Soup Classic Analysis is done while we're playing the game. But from now on, we're going to be doing the commentary in post. Because it was really hard to analyze the games and the gameplay while we were playing the games. So this is the first episode with post-commentary. So this episode's treasure games. We're starting with Gunstar Heroes. And this is the first game Treasure made after they left Konami. Treasure helped create classic series like Contra and Castlevania, and then they split off because they wanted to be more creative instead of making all the sequels that Konami wanted to make. And their first game was Gunstar Heroes.
This is their first game.
As a separate company, yeah.
That's a great first game to have, really.
Yeah, it's a cult classic.
Fantastic, yeah. It's still revered to this day. I mean, especially by you, but by many people as well.
So, I guess we can go over, there's a fixed shot and free shot. You can pick either one. In most modern games, you can do both, usually by holding like a trigger button. And in this game, you have to pick though, so you're stuck. See how I can't move while I'm shooting?
Right.
Right. So with free shot, you can move while you're shooting. This game also has a very unique power-up system, so you can see how I'm switching weapons here. You can see on the top how the lightning bolt and the power shot are kind of blinking on and off. Mm-hmm. So you can see there's kind of this is the power shot plus the lightning bolt combined. So you get more powerful weapons by combining two weapons together, and you can also just use one at a time if you want to use it for some utility purpose. Like here, if you want to use an up-close weapon, you could use that flamethrower, and if you just want to use the machine gun by itself, it shoots little bullets, so it's kind of weak, but you get some range on it.
Well, that's really smart though, because you always have a weapon for a different situation. You know, if you have 3 different situations and you need 3 different kinds of shots, then you have them.
Right.
You know?
That doesn't come into play as much as you would think. Usually you just combine weapons, because you get more power out of it that way if they're combined.
Oh, I see.
So it looks like I stuck with the power and the lightning shot here, which is kind of like a metal slug machine gun type of attack.
Yeah. So maybe the intention was to give you different kinds of shots, but it didn't necessarily play out like that in the game design.
In practice, it's not used as often as you would need, and the entire A button is taken up by that function, switching your weapons around. Mm-hmm. So this game is almost entirely a 2-button game, which is pretty amazing for the amount of moves and things you can do in it. Yeah. So you can flip down, and you can jump kick, you can throw enemies. If you press the shot button while you're close to them, you can wall jump.
Yeah, I noticed that. That was really cool.
There's probably more stuff that I haven't thought of.
So they got a lot of just the 3 buttons, and really just the 2 buttons. You know, and especially the choosing the fixed or free shot in the beginning. I don't know of another game that offers that, even another Treasure title. I'm not that familiar with them.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an archaic. They were trying to solve the fixed and free shot problem, because sometimes you want to move while you're shooting, sometimes you want to stay still and aim while you're shooting. Right. So they were trying to fix that problem. I think what they could have done is just had the A button fix your shot instead of switch your weapons. Then you wouldn't be able to switch to your two weaker weapons. You wouldn't be able to choose. You just wouldn't be able to choose weapons. You just have to stick with what your combination was. Right.
But like you said, that's not a killer. You know, it doesn't really matter all that much.
Right.
So yeah, maybe that would have been a better choice. But at least it's interesting that they gave you both options. You know, they could have just stuck with one or the other and said, "This is how our game is going to play. Get used to it, or don't play it." So at least they gave you, two different options that you can choose.
Yeah, I mean,
which is nice.
It's a little bit of an archaic design, but they broke so much ground. I mean, Treasure has broken so much ground just in the world of video games, and this game broke so much ground at the time. So I can't really fault them for that at all, for not thinking about that and coming up with that. I'm not sure who came up with that, who came up with pressing a button to fix your shot, but it might have been Treasure.
I don't know. They do a lot of cool stuff with graphics here, I noticed as well, like that dice or that die, I don't know, whichever part of that word is singular or plural, dice, die, who knows. That thing you were throwing with all the dots on it.
Die. I think it's pronounced die.
It's a die. It looks really cool when you throw it, it's got like a pseudo 3D effect, and as we came into this area, it sort of blurred and was, kind of looked like a mirage a little bit.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah, Treasure was... They did a lot of things with the Genesis that the Genesis wasn't supposed to be able to do. And like, you can see a lot of examples.
This looks really cool.
Yeah, they rotate objects and they have things zoom in and out that normally you would see on Super Nintendo, because Super Nintendo was built to do that. But the Genesis wasn't, but Treasure kind of figured out how to wing it, kind of.
Yeah,
so you can see a lot of really cool effects.
Yeah. I guess in time, with enough experience on the platform, they've managed to do some things that apparently weren't able to be done, but here we are. And this thing, this is really cool and weird.
I wanted to show the Crazy Dice Maze level of the game just because it showcases a lot of the weird designs and just different types of gameplay that Gunstar Heroes has.
It seemed to show a little bit of everything, I guess. You've got your fights and your bonuses and all the quirky parts of the game.
Yeah, I unfortunately did not get onto a take an item space during my play, but yeah, I just wanted to show some more of the combinations of weapons. But I think you guys get the idea. It has a very unique weapon system.
Yeah, this is really cool. I like stages like this. Treasure, oh man, this reminds me a lot of Mischief Makers, because I played a lot more of that than this game.
Yeah,
and even the art style is kind of similar. I love it.
Yeah, you can always tell that it's a Treasure game. Every Treasure game is different, but you can always tell that it's Treasure.
Why is that? Is there anything specific? I can't figure it out.
Yeah, they have definitely different styles, but yeah, for some reason you can always tell that it's Treasure. I guess I don't. I'd have to put more thought into it, I guess, to figure out exactly why.
So I like the strategy that the ammo system offers. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with this game, but when we were practicing this game in preparation for this video, we saw all the different combinations, and there's a lot of really, really interesting things you can do with the different combinations of ammunition,
right.
And choosing whichever one you want. It's it's sort of like Contra with the spread shot, except that it's not spread shot is super overpowered and you wouldn't want to take anything else ever. It seems like you have a little bit more utility here.
Yeah, in the original Contra, for the most part, it was pretty imbalanced.
Yeah,
but this is a little bit more balanced. Some are better than others. Another thing I really like, you can grab these bombs and throw them back. You can grab objects. There's a lot. They do a lot with the grabbing mechanic in this game. Not as much as Mischief Makers or Dynamite Headdy, but they do a little bit with the grabbing mechanic, and you can see how they brought that forth into future games after this. I was going to also mention that this is a good example for designers to look at. If designers haven't played Gunstar Heroes, you should. There's
Korean rice.
Yeah, it's a good example of, if you're making a shooting game, it doesn't necessarily have to be all just the same thing over and over again. And this is a good example. I complain a lot about games that try to do too many things, but this is an example of a game that does a lot of different things and does them all well, and they are it's well put together, and nothing feels like it's suffered. Like, you're using the same mechanics. You're using this one. In this part, they take away your guns, so you're just stuck with your jump kicks and your slides to do damage to the guy, which is stuff that you would be doing anyway. You're just limiting the player. So I guess that's
so close.
I got killed here. Yeah, I hadn't played the game in a long time, but yeah, I do show another little bit of Gunstar Heroes here, another level, just for a brief amount of time. But yeah, this game is a good example of varied gameplay done well, I guess is the short way to say it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was cool, that little rotating box. And this one too.
You can see the rotation there. It's very graphically advanced for the console.
Treasure seems to break ground in very specific ways. Like, they took advantage of the whole rotating thing and the I guess the upgrading graphics that you still don't see. I mean, in the rest of the Sega Genesis library, this isn't that common. These wildly rotating and interesting backgrounds, and there's a lot of little things here. They seem to excel at what they're focusing on. I don't know. They just always get it right. Like, there's no one aspect of this game that feels out of place or mediocre. Like, they just threw it in.
Right.
So nice.
Everything was considered.
Yeah.
This was a very carefully designed game. The reason I wanted to show this level was because it's another example of taking something away from the player but giving them something different in order to change the gameplay. So they take away your jump here, but now you can switch planes. You can switch and go on and ride on the ceiling and ride on the ground.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So without drastically changing the gameplay or controls, Well, maybe the gameplay changes quite a bit, but without changing around the controls and without losing the feel of the game, they've introduced something very unique that I don't think I've seen any other game try to do something like this.
And it's also, I mean, not only is it a change in controls, but it's also an intuitive change in controls. Because you see these guys riding on the other side, up there you saw guys riding on the ceiling, so you kind of already have an idea of what's going to happen here.
Right, yeah, you realize that you can do it, and you're going to try and jump.
Of course, yeah.
If you jump twice, you switch sides.
Yeah. So it's something that didn't need to be explained to you, which is always nice. It's always a plus.
Right, yeah, in the older games, especially in the 16-bit era, they were really discovering that you can't just put it in the manual and expect the player to be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
They started trying to show the player what to do rather than tell them what to do or hope that they read the manual. So this is the next game. It's Dynamite Headdy for Sega Genesis.
So I've never played this game, so this is going to be all you. But once again,
it's a classic, and there's a lot to learn from it, which is most of the games we go over on Classic Analysis.
So this was 1994. What year was Gunstar Heroes? Do you know?
93, I think.
Okay,
I think this was a year later. Yeah.
All
This is their second game. I'm not sure. Alien Soldier might have been before this. My timeline's a little bit screwed up in my head. Alien Soldier never came out in the States.
Headdy. So the main character's name is Headdy.
It never came out in the States for the Genesis. I think it did come out for Virtual Console, though.
Have you played it?
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to put it on this episode, but I think there would be too much. I wanted to limit it to three games.
Right.
And this one took a long time. There's a lot to Dynamite Headdy. You can see the intro here. They're showing kind of the theme of the game. The whole thing takes place as if it was in a theater, as if you were just sitting there watching the theater, and the backdrop changes.
Yeah. That's the whole game, huh? Or just this?
It does scroll. It does scroll, but the whole thing is kind of like you can see on the bottom, and you can see like scaffolding in places throughout the game.
Oh wow!
So you can see it looks like a stage basically for the whole game.
I have to say that the scale is already much bigger than Gunstar Heroes. You know, in terms of having like this opening cutscene. You know, and showing you a cast of characters and everything. Just already, it seems like maybe they were more confident and had a better idea of what they wanted to do with the title.
Yeah, it's very thematic. So here you can see they're rejecting Headdy. They're letting all the other characters through, and they're rejecting him. So he's going to Dust Cargo.
Dust Cargo.
I think they meant to put like garbage or
yeah,
trash bin or something. But
I wonder if they did in-house translating for this.
There's also ads for the game and Sega and Treasure in the background here. So
yeah. Oh, a lot of games do that. Even Mario Kart does that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of tongue-in-cheek here. But here's really good storytelling. This is what I wanted to talk about for the beginning of this. You can see Headdy and all of his reject friends are trying to escape from what we're about to see they're running from.
Wow.
We see they're running. We're like, what's going on? Why are they so scared? And they're running from this robot guy.
This is still a cutscene, right? Are you actually playing?
I'm playing here.
Okay, you are playing.
So I'm attacking this robot that's kidnapping my friends.
So I thought this was still a cutscene because everything about it still looks very theatrical.
Yeah, it leads into the gameplay very well.
And there's no HUD.
Now I want you to pay attention to this plane. Actually, it just went off screen, but there was a plane. No, there it is.
There it is.
Pay attention to that plane. That's another part of the storytelling, because that plane becomes part of the game now.
All right. God,
you can see it's launching these cannonballs at you, and now you have to dodge the cannonballs, which I did a horrible job of here. But you get the idea. So everybody's after Headdy. He's a reject.
Right.
He wasn't supposed to make it into the play. I think that's kind of the story. I'm not really sure. I never read the story. I've only ever guessed what's happening from here.
It seems really abstract. Yeah, go ahead.
It's absurd.
Yeah, it's very absurd.
You can tell Treasure's sense of humor from just watching. From seeing the character designs, and there's a cat and he has some energy power and
these very tiny strong men.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in Treasure games, especially in this one. There's a lot of just tiny men with their shirts off.
What's with this spotlight in the top? Is that your health bar?
Yeah, that's the health bar in the top corner with the H on it for Headdy.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, it changes colors and the H gets smaller as you get hit. So it's like the spotlight. So it kind of is. It's part of the scenery.
Yeah. It's the HUD that's built into the game. You know, like Dead Space does that really well. Puts your life bar on your back, on the back of the character. So this is another awesome way to do that. You know, looks like the game. It doesn't just overlay on top of everything.
Yeah, there's a minimal amount of HUD in the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't look like there's any HUD at all.
Yeah, there basically doesn't. Yeah, the only thing that would qualify as a HUD is something that would be in a theater anyway.
And even down here at the bottom where it says Scene 1-1, it's just telling you this is the first level and the first part of, I don't know, the first part of the game or something, but, you know, does it without, like, explicitly saying it to you, so you...
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that's something you might see anyway on the stage.
Yeah.
And you saw how the background here changed into this goofy Japanese background. It doesn't really make any sense, but a lot of things in treasure games kind of don't make any sense. You can see I never learned the pattern here. you were supposed to go under him on the left side there, but he's a very easy boss, so I managed to beat him anyway.
And why are we even fighting this guy? Who knows?
Yeah, I think he's just one of... In my imagination, he's one of the guys that's trying to stop Headdy. Mm-hmm. Headdy's supposed to be in the garbage dump.
In the dust cargo, as they say.
Yeah, in the dust cargo.
As we say here on the channel, the dust cargo.
So that's kind of the first scene, I guess you would call it. It's not even really a level. This game has a lot of scenes or levels, whatever you want to call them. But
practice area.
So there's a lot of intro to the game because there's a lot of mechanics, and this is one of the earliest games I can remember that had a very explicit tutorial. So we're going through that right now.
Ah, okay, here it is.
So this is the main mechanic of the game, is when you see that guy and he's carrying those little symbol things there, you hit those and you change your head.
Ooh.
So this is the hammer head. It does more damage than the regular head. That's just pretty basic. This one shoots a bunch of stars in all directions. A lot of these run out though. A lot of these run out and you switch back to your regular head. So if it's OP, like something like this, you just kill everything on the screen by vacuuming it.
Yeah.
It's kind of OP, so it runs out eventually. So they just want to show you the mechanic here.
God, this is so weird.
So here we're invisible. They can't see you until I think you hit them. Maybe they can see you after you hit them. No, they can't. They still can't hurt you. So you're invincible, but they don't die when you touch them, like a Mario or a Sonic invincibility.
Right.
And I guess I got this one again, but I think it's just to give you the idea that there's different heads, and there's a lot of different heads. These aren't all the different ones you can get. This is just a few examples that they wanted to show.
Wow.
I think just to show you the basic ones.
This is amazing. A lot of variety, I guess, in the gameplay then. So do these function as power-ups, as in like Contra? You know, like they'll come across at certain points, like scripted points, or they random?
Yeah, they come across at scripted points, and they kind of scroll through a set number of power-ups that you're supposed to have for that point.
Just like this one is doing up here.
Yeah, this one scrolls through a lot. Most of them scroll through like 3 or 4 different ones. Sometimes they scroll through a lot though.
Well, that's useful then. Instead of giving you, like, you know, going back to Contra, you only got one power-up out of one of those containers. You always got the same thing. Right, it was always
the same one. Yeah, and it was usually something that was going to be useful to you at the time, though.
Yeah.
So the design in that was pretty good too. This is just different.
Yeah.
A little more complex.
And it gives you options.
So with the complexity, going with the tutorial, I think was a good choice. So is just to show the players what they can expect.
What is this?
So this is kind of a predecessor to Mischief Makers, the way that the characters are designed here.
Yeah, I guess it is.
And also the way that the gameplay is. You got to grab onto those things that are like those little balls, the clan ball looking things.
Yeah.
In Mischief Makers are called clan balls. So you grab onto those and you flip up, which you can do in Mischief Makers. But in Mischief Makers, the difference is it has the shake mechanic added. So you can shake the clan balls a lot of times and things will fall out. But in this, you just use them to fling yourself up.
Wow, there's a part of Mischief Makers that is exactly like this.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow, this is it's really untraditional platforming. I kind of never noticed that before. How weird this is.
Yeah, this is something that would be it's very unique. Like even if this was released today and you know someone had never played it, like there would still be original ideas to this.
I mean, I don't think I've seen, like I said, aside from Mischief Makers, I've already seen things in this game that I've never seen anywhere else. So is Headdy an animal or is he? What is he?
He's a guy.
But what kind of guy, man?
I don't know.
What kind of guy? He's got to be some kind of guy.
So that's the end of the second part of the tutorial. That's the reason why this.
Wow.
That's the reason why Dynamite Headdy took so much of the episode, is because there's a very long tutorial and there's just a lot of mechanics to discuss.
Yeah. This game is already much bigger in scope than Gunstar Heroes.
It's a very long game too.
Is there a save feature on this game?
I don't think so.
Alright, so
I love this character.
Oh, hold on, is it Kid Chameleon long?
I don't think so, no. I don't think it's that long. I love this little angel character. He keeps saying target, and this guy makes appearances throughout the game to tell you when you need to hit something.
Is this like a mini game? You just have to...
Yeah, this is, I think, just to show you that you can hit in 8 directions, I guess. And...
Okay. All right.
And to introduce you to this weird angel thing.
Yeah. Is he saying Target?
Yeah, he's saying Target over and over again. He wants us to shop at Target.
Of course. This might get pretty annoying if you have to do this for 50 more seconds. You have a time limit. Is that a time limit?
Yeah, I think in the top right, it's a time limit. It's a pretty neat way to show a time limit. It looks like it belongs in this game.
Yeah, again, integrating it as, part of the scenery.
Yeah, and I kind of like how the tutorial also, it looks like it's behind the scenes, sort of. Like, this isn't part of the main thing. You're kind of behind the scenes learning how it works out there in the actual theater. So that's pretty unique and interesting.
This looks like behind, like you were saying, with the scaffolding and behind the stage and everything.
Right, so we're kind of backstage now.
Yeah. Oh, this is...
So it looks, and it looks less formal. Like, you see how it's, like, kind of boarded up. The platform we're standing on is kind of boarded up, and it looks kind of shoddy compared to a lot of the other scenery in the game. So just a lot to be learned from this game. Even if you don't want to go with a theater theme in your game, there's a lot. Just sticking with a theme and seeing all the different kinds of things you can do with it. This is a good example.
Yeah, really capitalizing on whatever theme you're choosing. In this case, lots of theatery, dramatic. Like Super Mario Brothers 3 was actually the same thing. It was all for looks, but aside from the introductory cutscene, it's really never referenced. Aside from the white block that you can fall behind. But this game kind of actually goes with it and does. Yeah,
you'll see a little. Things. You'll see it in Super Mario Bros. 3, like in a few parts in the game, and you kind of notice it. Like you'll see how they have things hanging on strings, like platforms will be hanging on strings like this in Super Mario Bros. 3. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they do it nearly as much. If you also pay attention in the background, there's more muscly little guys with no shirt on.
Of course. All right, shoot. That's pretty explicit.
Yeah, especially early on in the game, this was one of the earliest games I can remember that really tried to hold the player's hand for the beginning of the game, and even still, they're holding your hand a little bit.
Yeah, that's an absurdly long tutorial for a Genesis title, for that era of
probably
gaming.
The longest tutorial of that era of any game I can think of.
Because there are some games on this same console where the game would be over. Like, if you speedrun the game, it would be over in 10 minutes. And this game has a tutorial that's almost 10 minutes.
I think you can skip that tutorial, though. I'm pretty sure you can actually just run by it, but I decided to show it.
Well, it's kind of setting you up.
It shows a lot of the mechanics.
Yeah. It's kind of setting you up to expect that this game is maybe a bit longer than normal, a bit longer than games that you're used to.
Yeah.
So, as you're saying, it's kind of a long game.
Yeah, this is one of the heads that you can grab. You get like a Statue of Liberty head, and for some reason it takes you to a mini game where you have to shoot basketballs into hoops.
Of course.
It doesn't. Yeah, like a lot of things in treasure games, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's very charming and.
It looks really hard.
I really love it.
You haven't gotten any?
It's very hard. No, I haven't gotten any. I think I get a few in this play though.
Why is it so hard?
Yeah, it's actually. The player doesn't have a whole lot of control over how those go in there. I never, even when I played this game a lot before, I never really got good at this. I never really figured out how to do it well. I kind of never really liked this minigame. To be perfectly honest, I kind of didn't really like it, but I do really enjoy how goofy it is.
Yeah, it's like, points for effort, right?
Yeah.
At the very least. Like, see, that one should have gone in. I don't know if you caught that, but there was just that one. It looked like it was going straight in, and then no. It looks like there's some issues with collision. Like when the balls are floating upwards, they don't collide at all with these hoops, and on the way back down, whether they should or should not go in, it sort of, I don't know, looks a little bit strange. But I'm sure this was something technically...
something with 2D. It's kind of hard to show, I guess.
Yeah.
They could have made the sprite smaller as if it was like you were shooting it back into the background, but you also have to hit it again. You can also hit them twice as you hit it, so it would get a little weird. So I think the idea was neat.
Remember 8? Really?
Yeah.
What for?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Really? Is this giving you a clue for later in the game?
Yeah, these old treasure games, I love them, but I haven't played these games in a very long time. So you can kind of tell by my skill, at least in Gunstar Heroes, and that I don't know exactly where to go in these games.
Remember, 8.
But I think that the playthrough is enough that we can analyze it and figure it out. That was another reason why we wanted to do the commentary in post, was because it's hard to play. Well, it's hard to play and give good commentary at the same time.
What are these things?
Oh, I don't know.
All right, they look like little tiny Tims with hats. Sorry. Anyway,
But we also wanted to make sure we get a decent play of it. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't play this over and over. This was actually my first take, but on Gunstar Heroes, I think, well, I had technical difficulties, so I had to make multiple takes on that. But anyway,
more of those men in the background.
yeah.
Oh, they never quit, man.
So here's another weird, unique character. Oh yeah, I was saying though that it can get kind of annoying though if you're the one playing the game, and then the other guy, for instance Ed or Joe, was asking you questions about the game, and you're trying to concentrate on playing the game. So we decided that we're just going to do the classic analysis. We're going to keep the commentary off the cuff, and we're not going to go crazy trying to make the gameplay perfect. We're not doing like super plays or anything, but we thought it would make a better quality show.
So that was a power up that hurts you
It makes you go to sleep. Yeah, it's a gag.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they ever put that in a place where you're going to be in danger.
Thank God. I was gonna say that has real potential to be a really frustrating thing.
So here you can choose to get the little one. So it's branching path here. You can if you take the little guy, you can take this branching path, which I wanted to show here.
Well, how do you get up the other way to the left there?
You get the other head allows you to get up there somehow.
Oh, okay.
So there's some branching paths in the game.
Is that a banana?
I don't know if it's a Twinkie or banana, but I fell down that pipe, so we don't know.
We'll never find out. This is really cool though, like a little maze. Yeah, they're really going with the theater theme.
Oh, also I should mention that the recording got cut off really quickly here. I had a little technical difficulty. But you see that cat, you think he's going to be the boss. He's not the boss. He gets landed on by this big thing, and it plays the Nutcracker, which you can hear here. And then we see this guy come back telling us where the target is, and you have to hit his tail over and over again.
Oh,
you see the little angel guy come back there.
Yeah.
So anyway, there was about 30 seconds more of gameplay to that, but it got cut off. Well, that's unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a nice little teaser if you're interested in playing the game, because you're going to be able to see that.
Yeah, you're going to be able to see that big dog thing. So the last game is McDonald's Treasureland Adventure.
McDonald's.
Which was made by Treasure.
Which is still surprising to this day. I still can't believe that this game was made by Treasure.
It's a really good game. It's actually a really good game. It's an A-rank title.
McDonald's.
It's one of the better platformers for the Sega Genesis.
There are thousands of horrible movie games out there, and this one is, you know, a McDonald's tie-in, fast food tie-in. It's actually good.
Yeah.
So this was made in '93.
Yeah, I think this was right after Gunstar Heroes. I guess Treasure needed to get some money in their pocket, so
yeah, I guess.
So they either they approached McDonald's or McDonald's approached them, and they couldn't refuse.
I was kind of wondering
the money.
You know, especially, I mean, they're a Japanese company, right? And of course they have McDonald's in Japan.
So McDonald's Ronald McDonald is wandering through the forest, is the story. He's looking for, I don't know, he's looking for a place to bury a body, or if he's looking for buried bodies, and he somehow stumbles into a treasure map, and he's like, well, I was going to commit a murder, but now I'm gonna find a treasure, and somehow these lips, this alien, and this bean thing, they also have pieces of a treasure map. So I'm gonna track them down and kill them. Then I'll come back here to this forest, dig a shallow grave, and then we'll be on my merry way with my treasure.
Perfect. Because that's the one thing that Ron needs is more money. You know,
yeah, Ron.
He's not massively rich or anything from his worldwide.
You're buddies with him. So this isn't going to be a huge amount of analysis to this. It's a pretty basic game. There's
it seems like a massive downgrade in terms of complexity.
As far as complexity of gameplay, yeah, you can tell they didn't put a whole lot of effort into the gameplay mechanics, but there is something to it. You get magic, which you can shoot straight. Treasure does shooting very well. So they just have a straight shot here.
More of that Dynamite Headdy climbing up ledges thing.
Yeah, and that's the other mechanic of it, which you can see that they brought into Dynamite Headdy and really took it to the next level.
Yeah.
You've got this little scarf thing, and you can use that to climb on ledges, or like go on a zip line like this. So they use that throughout the game.
Because he's a clown, the scarf.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, to do little mechanics.
That's nice.
And these aren't even McDonald's characters.
Yeah, what are they? They're Treasure originals.
Yeah, they're Treasure originals.
That was a really short level.
Yeah, that's about it.
Wow. All right, so this is more in your the traditional platforming vein, I guess, in the vein of traditional platforming, I should say.
Yeah.
But
It's very well done, though. It's worth
Yeah.
playing if you want to play a solid platformer. I would say play Dynamite Headdy, Gunstar Heroes, and then this.
So what are these? These G's represent money, I guess. These bags that have a G on them, and
Yeah.
then the rings are.
If you get all the rings, I think you get something at the end of the stage. So they're sort of like collectibles, like trying to get the S rank.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's McDonald's Treasureland Adventure.
Yeah, I don't think we need to say much more about it.
Go buy a hamburger.
Please.